But the point is that you are old to someone, and you will always be old to someone, and you'll always be young to someone until you're not. Which is when you're dead. Hey y'all, this is Just Be...
That's not what you talk like. Okay.
3, 2. Hey everybody. Welcome to Just Be Creative. My name's Krist Norsworthy, and this is Katie Norsworthy, my spouse.
This is totally the way we talk on the reg. We haven't done this in a while, so I feel like we're a little bit out of practice. Sorry for all of our loyal subscribers.
In the biz, we call that rusty.
Oh, rusty. We haven't done this in a while.
It's true.
So sorry to all of our loyal fans, subscribers, and listeners. It's been kind of busy, and we keep saying we were going to do this and then kept not doing it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we're a little bit out of practice, but we're back.
I'm not apologizing.
Okay. You know what? I've been trying to work on that, not apologizing when I don't need to apologize. Yeah. So I guess I'm not sorry.
Sorry for giving you this free podcast late. Anyway, the other night you wanted to talk about something.
I did want to talk about something.
And we were sitting right here at our dinner table. And I was like, this is a good podcast topic. I'm not going to talk to you, even though we're married.
Yeah.
And you're my spouse of almost 14 years. Hold that thought. And now it's been like a week and a half. Like, hold that thought until later when we record this tonight, which didn't happen. I'm going to play that clip right now of you talking, and we're going to listen to it, and then we're going to respond to it to each other. So the topic that we're talking about tonight is this, which you've already seen the topic because I called it something when I posted it.
Okay, so they've already seen it, but not me.
I haven't seen it either. I'm talking to future people who are watching this on Facebook, YouTube, or listening to it on one of your podcast providers such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
All right, let's listen.
Do you have any idea what you had said?
I kind of remember what I had said.
Okay. Voice memos. May 16th, 2020. 10 days ago.
Wow. We've been waiting a long time to have this conversation.
Time flies when you're having fun.
What does it say about me that I feel like my 10-year plan needs to have a career change in it? Because I feel like I can't sustain my photography business, and I'm going to eventually be outdated. And one day, people are not going to book with me anymore because I'm going to be outdated. I'm going to be the old thing, and I won't be able to book anything. So I need to have a 10-year plan that means closing the photography thing, because one day no one is going to want to book me. Granted, right now, I have to turn people away. But I am I need to find a sustainable career where I'll have demand, because I feel like this is sustainable.
So at 45, you're going to start your sustainable career.
No one's going to want me to take their pictures when I'm 45 years old. That's how I feel.
I think as a 34-year-old, you have a misplaced...
I am having a wedding reunion.
Oh, wedding reunion. I think you have a misplaced... so we're having this conversation right now.
Okay, so that's the question, and then we'll have the conversation on our next podcast. We have our next
topic.
We can't talk about it. Okay, so yeah, I'll pose the question. So I've said a lot already. So what does it say about me?
First of all, just for anybody who isn't aware, I'm a graphic designer and marketing director. She is a photographer.
A portrait photographer. But so that's what we do. Graphic designer, portrait photographer, and I am afraid that I need to come up with a backup plan because I feel like what I'm doing is not sustainable.
So what does that say about me?
I think one thing it says about you is you plan on being alive for at least another 10 years.
Yes.
Possibly 11. And I mean, I think you, for as odd as it is in kind of like the worlds that we live in and work in, you are concerned with security, financial security. You did used to be an accountant after all. So you want to plan for the future. But it reminds me of a meme. If anybody's 5-year plan from 2015 right now is,
We're dead wrong.
just dead wrong. Because it's 2020 and we're 2 months into lockdown.
And
So-
maybe probably a lot of that fear comes from that too, just uncertainty. Like I'll say, I was talking to my therapist today, and I was telling her, I was like, I already made it through the flood. So in 2016 in South Louisiana, there was a devastating flood that happened here. I was like, my business made it through that. I was like, this is kind of like the flood all over again. As far as how it affects my business personally, the effects are very much the same. I was like, and so I'm just like, I just don't know. Honestly, some of it's tiring too. Like, oh man, it's so much harder. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just feeling sorry for myself. But it feels like it's so much harder when you're working for yourself and you're not working for this big company. Like, I don't have to work for the man. But the good thing about working for the man is that the man has money.
Yeah, and that's kind of one thing I was thinking too. I'm gonna say, like, this is something that I've thought about for a while, because whenever I first started out, I was working with older graphic designers. Probably, now I am the age of some of those people that I've worked with before. So you kind of see that there is like a logical progression to working at certain places, whether it's a marketing firm or something like that. People typically don't stay graphic designer forever. They move up. Maybe they become a senior graphic designer and then an art director and creative director, like those kind of things. And I think that's been something I've been concerned with, is aging out of my relevance in terms of what I do as a graphic designer. I guess my biggest fear was like, well, I don't want to, even though I enjoy this job specifically, I don't want to stay in it forever, because then you feel like you're going to get to a certain point, not where, I don't know, where I guess you're just not relevant anymore. You're not making relevant stuff. Mm-hmm. So I have been growth minded in that aspect. Although in a lot of ways and I do think this in terms of my own self, of the stuff that I do outside of my normal day-to-day job, I think that might have a little bit more longevity, because I'm not just doing generic whatever meets the needs of the customer type stuff. I'm doing more what's my stuff. Yeah. And of course that can in the long run age out and become if it ever, like, if what I'm making ever crosses to the point where it's mixed with the trendy factor, and then I stick with that and move on and move with that but don't move on, then your stuff's going to look old at a certain point. You may be as hip as you can be at one point, but if you stay with that, and then even if you were in it before it was hip, then your stuff's going to look old in 5 or 10 years or further. Well, I think it's something that we all think about, or it's something that we ought to all think about. And I think that it's something that in this creative world we have to be aware of. And we have to be aware of, you think of what are people who are, because right now you're 34. When I first started graphic design, like I said, a 34-year-old would have seemed really old to me.
That's so true.
So you're already really old to somebody.
Thank you, maybe.
You know what I mean? But
yeah, that makes me feel better.
But you're getting work. You're turning away work like you just said. But to someone just starting college, a 17 or 18-year-old, you're twice their age.
And they call me Miss Katie now.
Right.
So that's how I know.
Right. So to them, but, that you're literally, you're almost twice their age. Or you are twice their age for some of them. So.
Twice their age? Do that math. 17 plus 17? What's that? Can you tell me what 17 plus 17 is, please?
I did it before I said it.
17 plus 17 is 34.
What's 7 plus 7? 14.
No. I'm not twice the age of a 17-year-old. I'm twice the age of a 17-year-old. Sure wish this was something else in this mug.
I'm glad I
Right
captured
now?
this moment. Right. So you were twice the age when you started college, 17. You were twice that age right now.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
I am old. You're right.
Yes.
I'm sure all of our older listeners are loving this.
Well, exactly. But the point is that you were old to someone, and you will always be old to someone, and you'll always be young to someone until you're not. Which is when you're dead.
Until I'm dead. I don't have to worry about booking anyone when I'm dead.
Like my grandma, my mama, and my uncle were over here. Her son. Our kids thought they were husband and wife. Because to children, old people look like old people. Right?
Yes.
So my point is that you ought to be aware, in our fields, we ought to be aware that we need the need to pivot. Mm-hmm. But guess what? By the time you're 10 years from now, our kids will be about that age, moving on to college, or they will be. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be at a completely different stage of life. If you want to start another career, good. Maybe by that point it won't have anything to do with security. Maybe you'll want to move to another career because you've been working as a photographer for 20 years and you want to do something else, and your kids aren't in the house anymore. All kinds of revelations happening here tonight. Our son just turned 7, but he won't graduate till he's 18.
Okay.
But he'll be on his way out.
It just hit me in the feels. It has been a very emotional time, with Corona.
Yeah, it's okay.
A lot of emotions.
So, I've got a lot of other thoughts, and I'll let you say something in response to this right now.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. That's just a lot to process.
Well, then I'll keep talking if you want me to.
I'll interject when I want to.
Okay, may I proceed?
You may proceed.
On the other, or not on the other hand, but another point that you made, working for the man. I work for a small company.
He's not the man, though. You work for a man. Okay, you know what? Say that again.
I literally just said I work for a small company.
I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I correct you all the time. You're making that up, and now I hear it.
And you do this when we're not recording too.
Well, because I'm trying. We're trying to be conversational. Maybe we should start doing this on the couch so I feel more comfortable. I feel less recorded.
You were talking earlier about job security. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about I work for a small company. Mm-hmm. We have fewer than 20 employees, and I have been able to keep my job and keep my work.
Yeah.
By chance, or by providence, but not through anything I've done. Right? It's because for whatever reason, this has not affected my company. Now, if we know plenty of people who work for big companies, oil companies or whatever, that have been affected by this. And I say oil because the part of the country we live in, there's a lot of oil refineries or just chemical processing plants and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people, for a lot of various reasons, at various times, through various economic downturns, who have been or have not been affected by things that are outside of their control. Now, I had been in a company before where they started letting people go, and some of the people who had been there longer than me got let go first.
Yeah.
Then I was like part of the second round, and then so then there was other people who were part of the third round and fourth round, and then the company just doesn't exist anymore. And that had to do specifically with just what was happening with that company. All that to say that you may think you're making a wise decision, and if you're 17 years old right now and you're going to college and you're picking a career on something that you think, I'm going to do this because this is going to be safe and I'll be able to do this job until I retire. Maybe not. Like, if you're making your decisions solely based on this is a thing that won't be replaced by robots or AI, good luck. Like, this is a safe job and I know I'm going to make money. No, you don't. Like, people thought that about the automobile industry, and an entire city, Detroit, collapsed under that. Yeah. There was a point where you could go buy houses in Detroit for like $1 just because the company shut down. They left, they went to other countries or whatever, and next go round, whatever these things will be, probably won't be other countries outsourcing it. It'll, like I said, AI or some mixture of that, automatic processing through robots or whatever. Like, there won't be people, like a Starbucks will be completely automated except for one person working there in 10 years probably. And then in another 10 years, there will be no people there. And that's just what life's going to look like. Probably. I don't know. But probably, right? I mean, going back to what you're saying, how it's relevant to you, I don't know what the right decision is for you. I mean, it seems to me that your concern isn't for you right now. It's for you in the future.
Yes, and the concern is that no one will want to book me. That specific concern. Not that I won't enjoy this anymore. Not that I won't want to do it anymore. Right. Just that no one will book me. Because
your style or whatever won't be relevant?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm not afraid that robots are going to take over. I'm just going to... my job, which they might.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid that no one's going to want to pay me money to take their pictures.
iPhones have almost knocked people out of business. And the digital camera revolution have knocked a lot of photographers out, professional photographers who were like people who were at the top of their game 10 years ago versus where they are now.
And I think a lot of my fear stems from that, is knowing right. How many photographers had successful careers in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s, in 2003, 2004. The digital revolution takes over. And now, knowing how many photography businesses have gone out of business. And even things that, because I've been in the photography business for so long, even products, even companies, not even photographers, but companies that
over half your life.
Over half my life. Yes, thank you. Over half my life I've been in the photography business. And even the same things aren't even being sold anymore. Like Art Leather used to be this big company that made these beautiful folios. I don't even know if Art Leather is a company anymore. I wish I would have looked. Well, I didn't know where this conversation was going to go. But I remember looking it up to be like, I wonder if they still make those. And either Art Leather is not a company anymore.
So they made like the binders that photos go in?
You like folios, and you'd like put it on your mantle, and it'd be like, you could fold it up, or you could like the cord like expand it. Okay. And it was 4x5.
It had like the oval cut out in it, and you would slide your photos into it and stuff.
Yeah. And a very expensive, very well made product. But they're either not a company anymore, or if they're still a company, they're making a totally different thing of product. Mm-hmm. And so just being like, I mean, things change, and I guess that's okay. People used to love those folios, and not a single soul orders those anymore. Right. And I would have never thought that, ever. So not even how many photographers have had to close shop, how much that's affected even that industry. So I don't know what 10 years looks like.
Yeah.
So I don't know. People might not like my style. There's just, because so much has changed in the photography field over time, I guess I can't predict the next 10 years. I guess that gives me fear. So what does that say about me? That was the original question.
So you're human?
I am not an android who has taken over the photography
But I think
industry.
But do you think a lot of the people who aren't in business anymore probably weren't afraid?
They weren't. They felt very. I mean, I don't know. I haven't taken a survey. But
Right.
a lot of people probably felt very secure. But
Like,
I don't know.
no, like, oh, they're not gonna. Oh, moms with cameras, they're not gonna take my business, right?
Yeah.
And when you get that way, then that's you saying I'm not gonna change, right? I think that you need to be willing to change, and maybe you will last, or maybe you won't last. But I think that goes into to what attitude do you have? Are you open to changing with what happens?
But then the older you get, the less susceptible you are to change.
Right, but there's...
The older I get, the less I'm going to want to change.
That's true. But... I don't know about you, but... like, there's definitely people who are twice our age who are still producing stuff, who are still being paid to do things, and doing it in even the same or similar ways that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Digital camera, whatever. If your heart is in it, and your heart and you want to stay current with what's happening, you have a better chance of succeeding long term. And I think that trying to plan as much as you can, because the way things change so fast now, maybe it's not something that you can even imagine, because it'll be something that will happen so quick, you'll have no chance to react.
Yeah.
But other than that, unless you plan on just continuing to do the exact same thing you're doing right now for the next 10 years, then that's something that in 10 years you'll reassess. Unless you're wanting to quit right now, so in 10 years you'll have a better job. But then, like, what do you know for certain with your crystal ball? I'm not making fun of you, just like as a person, what do any of us know will exist in 10 years? Think about what existed 10 years ago, what companies existed 10 years ago. Even like 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, you could bring your film in to Walmart or Walgreens or wherever, and they would have it turned around and back out to you in an hour.
Yeah.
Like, I think Walgreens still has like a photo center. Walmart has a photo center where you can like bring your thumb drives and stuff, right?
Yeah.
You remember, like, you showing your grandpa you were showing him his van the other day, how to use it, and you're like, oh, and here's a CD player, and you're like, oh, where's the CD player? Oh, wait, it doesn't have a CD player because it's not 2003 anymore.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, he's like, doesn't have a CD player, and I said, yeah, it's like how cars don't have cassette players anymore. And now they don't have CD players, I guess. Like, it was that moment that I realized that CDs were cassettes now.
Right.
And I guess, okay, here's where we go, because I guess that this is where, and I think we're going to talk about this next episode, precursor, unless we come up with a better topic. I think our next episode is actually going to be on imposter syndrome, because a lot of what you're saying just brings up all those imposter syndrome thoughts that I have in my brain, because I'm not going to be able to stay trendy because I've never been trendy, and I've never known like what hip is or what trendy is, or
all of which is accurate.
It is. It's accurate. I am a grandma. Like, I am. I'm such a grandma.
I'm joking.
No, but I really am. Like, I've never been hip and I've never been cool, and the fact that anyone pays me now to take their pictures blows my mind. Mm-hmm. And so I'm shocked that people are paying me now to take their pictures. So this is just like some weird fluke. And certainly in 10 years, they're not going to pay me to take their pictures. So that just all gets meshed in together.
Yeah. That's fine. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm a great photographer and that I'm beautiful and that you love me.
You're beautiful. I love you. You're a great mother and a great photographer and spouse. In a way though, like, don't you hope that in 10 years it's not the same? Like, do you want to be doing the exact same thing in 10 years as you're doing right now? Or like, do you have a vision at all? Like, and I don't mean like a written down in stone, like it has to be this certain way, but in your mind, are you doing exactly what you want to be doing forever? Or do you envision that there will be, in your mind, better, like you have a direction that you're moving or that you want to be moving?
Dang. No. I don't think I've thought about it that far.
Okay, what
Like, I
about
haven't
1 year from now,
I
do you
haven't
think?
thought uphill trajectory. I've just been like, it's all downhill from now. Like, got a downhill trajectory.
Right. Maybe you're not putting these two things together, but like you don't shoot babies anymore as much.
Stopped shooting babies, yes.
You've made pivots in, this is the kind of photos I want to be taking, this is not the kind of photos, or this is the things I don't feel as comfortable doing, this is what I do. So you've made pivots that way.
Yeah.
You don't have to say what they are, but are there other things in your mind that you do think that way about? That I hope to do more of this, and I hope to do less of that.
Oh man, no, I think I've had just a survival mentality of just this is what I have to do kind of deal. I don't know, but then I'm making pivots this year too. Like, I'm making some huge changes to my business in the fall, and I don't know. I think about that more of a season by season basis. Like, this is what I didn't like about last season, so this is what I want to do now for the next season. But I don't think I've thought about those things long term, just season to season. I guess I'd call that survival, yeah. Like, I know how much money I need to make each month to make our budget. And so it's just been how I'm going to make it this month and how I'm going to make that the next couple of months. And that's as far as I look, I think. Because I'm not a real artist. And one day everyone's going to find out that I am no good.
Right.
And that I'm just posing.
So in your mind, do you think that there's any way that you can help your 10 years older self, future self?
Rephrase the question.
Well, I think a lot of times we put stuff on our future self, whether it's our tomorrow self. I'll clean that up tomorrow. As if my future self, tomorrow me, will have any more interest in cleaning it up than present today me does.
And tomorrow you're just going to be mad at today you for not doing it today.
Right. You right now are projecting onto future self a person whose work no one cares for. 44-year-old Katie will produce work that no one will want to pay her money for. Is there any room in your mind for people will still want to pay me money, but it'll be to do photography that I don't want to do, but I'll still do it anyway? Or photography that
No. That's not an option.
So, is there any way for you to help 44-year-old Katie, your future self, to be in a place where people will still want to pay her for her work?
I don't know. I don't know what people are going to want in 10 years.
Well, right. Because, I mean...
Maybe they're going to want holographs. I'm going to have to learn how to work a totally different piece of equipment, and I am not learning. Because that's another thing about
holographic photography.
The older I get, the less I like to learn. Also, older me is just like I'm already a grandma, and like I'm just getting more and more grumpier and set in my ways. And
then what do you care? Like, why does it matter to you?
I want people to like what I do.
But
why does it matter to me?
You've changed. Your style has changed since 11 years ago, 10 years ago.
I don't put those black vignettes around everything anymore.
Thank God. But like 45, 44 is not old.
Yeah, maybe I just have a very unhealthy view of age. When I left accounting, and I was like, well, maybe I'll go back to it one day. And I was like, I feel like people think they have an expiration date always. Like, it's not like because I'm leaving the accounting field or because I'm leaving the business, that part of the business world, that I can never return. Like, I can do this whenever I want to do it again. And I don't think I've had that same confidence or realization with the creative world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I left accounting to go pursue a creative field when I felt young and I felt like I could and I felt like I had the flexibility. But I think that I need to view creativity and working in the creative field just the way I do in a non-creative field. Like, I'm never too old to go back to school. I'm never too old to make a change. And I feel like I always felt that way, but I guess only about certain things. Because I haven't felt that way about photography.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I should. Maybe I need to realize that. Like, I can do this as long as I want to do it.
Yeah, and look, I mean, people get paid for bad work all the time. I hate so much stuff that other people make. And they get paid for it. A lot of them get paid much more than I do for whatever it's worth. Like, say it is 10 years from now. And I guess this is part of this whole, like, maybe me, like, shielding myself, trying to live in, like, a partial fantasy world. Somewhat of, like, what we talked about on another episode of just, like, your work sucks. That's okay. In 10 years, like, at the worst, in 10 years, no one wants to pay you because you're 44 and old, and haven't changed anything you do. Mm-hmm. And you still look like, they're like, oh, that's so 2020. In 10 years, you change, you pivot. Maybe you're not doing portrait photography anymore. Maybe you are. Maybe you're focusing.
I'm a pet photographer in 10 years.
Who knows? In 10 years, yeah, maybe your career looks pretty similar to what it is, or maybe it looks drastically different, but it's because you've learned, you've changed, you've done this or that. Also, alternatively, in 10 years, you are dated, you're somewhat dated, and people are still paying you because people still pay Life Touch.
You can't call them out by name. You have to go beep.
But then it sounds like I'm talking about a person. I'm talking about the man.
They're still paying the man photography company, which we will bleep out. But It's not a specific person. It is a corporation that is nationwide that we're talking about.
But my point is, like, you know, or robots have killed us all. But, like, we don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
And I will say, this all has reminded me of something that I had an instance a couple years ago where someone called me. So most of my business, I go into schools and daycares and take portraits. And everyone gets a proof. I don't do prepays. I take your kid's picture and then I send you a proof. And if you don't like it, you don't have to order it. And if you do like it, you can order it. No obligation to order. If you don't like it, no big deal. And a couple of years ago, one mom decided to call me to complain to me about my backdrop and to tell me how inappropriate it was. And it was not appropriate for young boys, and she didn't like it at all. And was
just full of naked people? I mean,
no, which is funny because we had gotten prints made of our young boy on that backdrop. I loved that backdrop, and it's really hard. I do have a hard time not taking things personally. I take a lot of things personally, and then I don't have to because I'm like, okay, I'm photographing on these backdrops over 500 children. There is no way. That's not even a feasible goal to have to please 500 families. Right. Like, that is not even a realistic goal to have. So why do I hold myself to that standard? I don't know. Why do I get upset when one parent out of 500 calls me to complain about my inappropriate backdrop? But it was something I talked to my therapist about, and I was like, it just really upset me, and I just felt like she was really mean, and I know I shouldn't take it to heart, but I do take it to heart. And she was just like, I just love my boy's smile. No one's ever gotten a smile. He's never smiled like that for pictures before. Is there any way the background can change? Because I hate the backdrop, but I love my little boy's smile. And I was like, I'm sorry, there's no way I can change the backdrop. And she still ordered the picture. Mm-hmm. She still paid me for that photograph, even though she was so passionate about how much she hated that backdrop, to call me and to tell me, which is really hard in those situations, not to say, don't order it. Like, but that's not, people aren't paying me to come up with amazing backdrops. People are paying me to get their child to smile. And you should pay me too.
And your point
There was a point to that. My point
Yeah.
being is I don't have to be good at photography. I just have to be good at making children smile.
Well, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer said, you can please some of the people all the time. And you can please all the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. I think I quoted that correctly.
That's really good.
I don't know. I mean, I think that your concern and your fear is natural. And you should be thinking about what 10 years is down the road. Like, what is that going to be? I definitely am in a lot of different ways. And I don't there's no way that I can 100% plan for it. There's no way you can 100% plan for it. Mm-hmm. But I think it's good to be thinking that way. And if you're not thinking that way, I think you should be more fearful. Although if you're not thinking about it, then of course you're not fearful. But you should be, because you're not prepared. You're not going to be prepared at all.
Yeah.
A billion variations that could happen potentially in your life. You want to be prepared at least for some of those. For the ones that are within your control.
Yes.
Which is...
Don't be stuck in your ways.
Right. Be willing to change. And especially whenever you're doing things for client-based stuff, then you're going to have to modify what you do somewhat a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And while it hurts initially, like if you go into a school and the director says that background is garbage,
Which has happened before.
You can't come here and take pictures. Mm-hmm. What do?
I change it.
You change it, right? But if you go in and one person says something about it at one school, well, you're not going to change your whole thing. And sometimes, in my world, somebody wants to make all of the words bold, and then it's just garbage. But sometimes somebody has a great idea and makes my concept into something that is actually much better.
Yeah.
But it hurts. There's that small amount of hurt, of pride, or whatever it is that makes you not want to change or not want to do anything. And there's that part of us that, as much as I like learning, let's see, like Adobe released new apps, and I'm just like another thing, something else. Are you kidding me? Like, how many of these things do I have to do? And then you always have these thoughts of do I focus on one thing and get really good at that, or do I try to do a lot of different things? And I think that we just kind of have to figure out what that balance is and hope for the best, because you really can't control what's going to happen, even if you do your best, which is...
The robots still can come.
The robots, the Martians, whoever or whomever may still come and take everything from us. They may shoot our babies for us.
Stop. Okay, I think we reached a good point. How do y'all like our mugs? Can y'all see them? Look at that.
It's going to be in focus over here.
You can buy them in our merch store. Just kidding. We don't have a merch store.
But I have a merch store, and it is in mine.
It is! You can buy these?
Yes.
I didn't even know that. Okay. Well,
it's part of my 10-year plan.
Coffee mugs.
Actually, don't tell them, but the podcast, that's how we're going to make our money 10 years from now.
Oh, God.
Holographic podcast. Coming right at you in 3D holographs.
Thank y'all so
Holograms? What's a hologram? What's a holograph?
What's the difference between a hologram and a holograph?
Hologram is whenever they show up at your door and sing you a song.
It's a hologram. Thank y'all so much for listening to us and to me go through all 5 emotions that I have. There's just 5 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
That many?
Okay. All 3 emotions that I have. Oh, I wasn't angry at any point though. I didn't.
No, you're right.
I didn't display anger, but I do get angry.
It was like watching Inside Out.
Geez, you don't want to see me when I'm angry.
This episode will just be called Inside Out.
All of Katie's emotions. Oh, thanks for listening. I've already said that. Like, share, subscribe.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends about us. Yes. And follow us on Instagram on Just Be Creative Pod. And then I believe our handles for our personal accounts Or underneath.
Displayed.
Are
beneath.
displayed underneath our faces. So, thank you again. I've said that 20 times already.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
How do you feel?
Oh gosh. Felt like there's a lot of revelations through that. I cried on our podcast today.